we're getting any... Oh, now we're getting readings. Hey, guys. We're having a little technical difficulties. We're actually going to start the show now. No? You're not getting anything?
I can hear you now.
All right.
Okay, people can hear us. Yay.
So anyways, welcome to the show. I'm your co-host for the evening, David Matsui.
And I'm your other co-host, Walter Lutsch.
And I'm Bancroft. This is my first time, and hopefully not my last time.
So this is our special guest, Caitlin. So anyways, real quick, before we actually start doing the plays, we wanted to do a quick recap for those of you who were here last week. We wanted to just give you a quick idea of what we're about, what we're planning on doing with the show, and what we need, or we're looking for in the show. So real quick, we started the show because we were hoping to we've always wanted to do something with radio, and we thought it'd be fun to try and do something through KSPU, and we've done a little bit of voice acting already, and we decided we'd try and lend our talents to KSPU and see what happens.
And this was a great way for us to get involved in the school and, just involved with the students in general. And so that takes me to what we're looking at telling you about the show, which is the fact that we're really trying to start a self-sustaining writing, acting community where the writers of the school, and I know you're out there, who, you're trying to break into fiction writing yourself. You've got some scripts, you've got things on your hard drive, and nobody's seen them, and you'd really like to show them off. This is the place to, have that done. Get your work out there so that people can hear it. And for those of you who are actors trying to increase your acting resume and get some cool parts under your belt, this is the place to go do it. So if you're interested in either submitting a script to us that we can produce, or if you're an actor who'd love to try out some wacky parts, then email us at falconradiotheater@gmail.com. And if you're not a writer and not an actor, but you like Falcon Radio Theater or just radio theater in general, please give us a listen, and you can follow our maniacal musings on facebook.com/Falcon Radio Theater.
And remember, that's an R-E, not E-R. So, now for our first play of the evening is Jury Duty by Eaton Lowenstein.
3 people are left waiting in the jury waiting room. 2 men sit on the benches, while a young woman paces back and forth in front of them. Gregory, the older gentleman, is in a gray suit and reading a newspaper, while Dan is in a polo shirt and jeans, playing on his cell phone. Amber, who is in a blouse and slacks, stops to see if someone is coming through the door to collect them, and when no one appears, she goes back to pacing.
Can't they let us home already? I mean, we did our civic duty. We've sat in this boring room all day, and nobody needs us.
It's only 4:30. Court gets out at 5.
I'm so friggin' bored.
I've finished with most of this paper, if you're interested.
I'm not. Ugh, the American justice system is lame.
Do you know how many soldiers died so you could sit in this room?
Not enough, obviously.
And what if you were on the other side? What if you were being tried for a crime? Would you rather have a judge who couldn't give 2 craps about you, or would you rather have a jury of your peers, eager to set things right?
I have no peers. Who would judge me? Nobody. They would have to let me go free.
Thanks for chiming in.
I had something funny to say.
I'm terrified knowing you 2 represent our youth. It's selfish attitudes like yours that are ruining our country.
Well, geez, look who's got a bald eagle up his butt.
Don't tell me I'm un-American. I could have just stayed home. But no, I showed up. I'm here to do my jury, whatever.
Only because they sent you a scary letter.
Only partially.
Me? I'm unemployed. The $15 I'd be getting on a jury are better than what I'm getting playing Xbox back at my place.
Good Lord. Just then, the waiting room doors opened to allow the clerk into the room. Looks like we're going to need one of you to sit on a civil case. I'll be back to let you know which one it'll be. With that said, the clerk exits.
A civil case? Is that a divorce?
2 people or companies seeking a monetary settlement.
Waste of our time.
That's not for you to decide. If they want a jury, they get a jury. It's carved in the Constitution.
Two people, or worse, two businesses, trying to sue each other into oblivion. I dare them to pick me. I'll be like, throw all this out. Throw them all in jail. Tell them to settle it like men.
What, because your time is more important than justice? This isn't how you would choose to earn your $15?
Because everyone's time is more important than listening to some rich people complain through their lawyers.
I happen to think that a civil trial is just as honorable as a criminal one. There's nobility in helping to settle disputes.
Well, I'm not worried because they're never going to pick me. I'm terrible with business things and numbers. Really bad. I almost failed algebra twice.
My cat can do algebra.
It cannot.
No. I don't even have a cat. I have a dog. I have no idea why I went with cat for the joke.
Hope those lawyers like explaining things 7 or 8 times.
Some lawyers prefer that, so they can lead you down the path of numbers step by step. Ignorance of math will not get you out of service.
Plus, those guys get paid by the hour. The only thing that you will get out is extreme prejudices. I think civil trials are a load of bull. I think, what's it called when you're suing for money even though you don't actually lose anything?
Punitive damages.
Hogwash. Waste of our tax dollars.
What do tax dollars have to do with anything?
Who's paying for these BS trials? We are. The American people will not stand idly by while courts are overrun with money. This is not what Douglas Adams had in mind when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. Justice does not only belong to the rich. Justice for all. Attica, Attica, Attica.
The judge is going to see right through your little game. You'll be on the jury for sure. They love making brats like you sit around and watch a trial take place. Teach you how the real world operates.
Huh. Brat.
There is only one way out of service. Proving yourself to be smarter and more legally knowledgeable than the lawyers. They hate that more than anything. That's why I know to keep my mouth shut when asked questions. I don't want to be excluded just because of my background.
You must be some kind of fancy pants, high-priced lawyer.
Well, no, I'm not a lawyer myself. I'm just very interested in law.
Did you go to law school?
No, I just read law books, legal journals, reviews, things like that. It's a hobby of mine.
That is the worst hobby I've ever heard of.
I find it fascinating. The whole judicial system amuses me.
What do you do, since you're obviously too smart to be a lawyer?
I'm an aspiring novelist.
That is awesome. You're unemployed, just like me.
I'm not unemployed. I am aspiring. I've almost had 2 of my tomes published.
What are you, 60?
I'm 52. There's nothing wrong with taking a few years to get started.
Maybe there's something wrong with your cruddy books.
My stories happen to be both beautiful and skillful. They cut through social fabric like a knife. The words float and dance on the page, revealing the truth within.
But nobody likes them.
People will like them once they read them. I speak for the intellectual masses.
The unemployed intellectual masses. Huge target market there.
I am not unemployed. I am aspiring. There is a difference.
In your weekly paycheck?
In honor.
Get yourself an Xbox. Learn how to be unemployed for real.
So this is your hobby? Trying to get on juries?
It is one of the ways I pass my time, yes. I see no shame in volunteering to be part of our system.
That is so sad. Someone who does jury duty for fun.
It is a beautiful thing. You will appreciate it one day. Every year I get a letter in my mailbox asking me to be an active citizen of this country, to touch the life of someone or someone's and hand them justice. It is a gift few receive.
While you're waiting for publishers to call back.
You are terrible people, and I say this as someone who sat on 3 murder trials. Just then, the clerk re-enters. Gregory Potunk, you're on. Yes!
Thank goodness.
Seriously.
Gregory jumps up, gathers his things, salutes Amber and Dan, and leaves with the clerk. With everyone gone, Amber and Dan dwell in silence for a few beats.
So, you want to make out or something?
No.
That's cool. Just floating it out there.
So gross. Only 20 more minutes.
The end. That was Jury Duty by Ethan Lowenstein. The part of Amber was played by Caitlin Bancroft. Gregory was played by Walter Lutsch. and Dan, played by David Matsui.
All right, so our next script is called The Angel of Brooklyn by Dwayne Yancey.
In the darkened living room of Bud Stanley, who has just moved into a retirement home, Bud is sitting in a chair reading the newspaper.
God.
Bud rapidly, angrily turns the newspaper's page.
Bud? Bud?
What? Who's there? Oh, who? What?
I'm sorry, did I startle you? Sometimes I startle people.
Oh, a nurse.
Right. Yeah, I guess I am.
You must be that home health nurse they mentioned.
Oh, right. That's me.
I didn't hear you come in.
Oh, well, sorry. I just sort of dropped in, I guess. I'm like that sometimes, you know.
Must be my hearing. Martha says, that's my wife. She says I'm hard of hearing in my left ear, and I guess I do favor my right some. Well, anyway, I see you let yourself in. That's fine.
Yeah, you were on my list, see? We don't really work on an appointment basis, just whenever we're in the neighborhood, you know?
I tell you, this new home takes care of everything. All the yard work, the whole recreational program.
Or whenever there's a need, those calls always take priority, of course.
I'd heard from some of the fellows down at the activity center that they had a home health nurse come around, but I didn't know anything about how you signed up for it or whether it was automatic or what.
Anyway, well, I'm just sorry I didn't get to you sooner. You've been on our list for quite some time now, and I'm afraid that, well, you know, sometimes we're short-staffed and it takes a while to get around to everybody, you know. Especially when it doesn't really seem like an emergency, you know.
That's quite all right. I feel fit as a fiddle anyway. No complaints as long as I stay on my blood pressure medicine. Well, my knee acts up sometime whenever the weather changes, and sometimes I have trouble keeping, regular.
So, Bud, may I call you Bud?
Sure, I've been Bud since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. My real name's William. Kind of common name, at least it was in my day. Nowadays, you got all kinds of names. I got 2 grandsons, and their names are Zacharias and Elijah. Now, what kind of names are those?
I think those are nice names.
Kind of a mouthful, if you ask me. They sound like some of those Old Testament names you hear in church on Sundays. I don't know how they expect little kids to spell them at school, but I guess nowadays they got computers and all that. We just call them Zach and Eli anyway. I guess everything gets shortened, huh?
Guess so. I'm Angie.
Hi, Angie. That's short for Angela, isn't it?
Actually, it's short for Angel. Another one of those common names, you know.
I suppose.
So, shall we get started?
Oh, right. Here I am running off my mouth, taking up your time when you got places to be. You just tell me what you need to do. So where do you want to start? Blood pressure? Want me to roll up my sleeve? Which one do you want, left or right?
Actually, I thought we'd just, talk for a while.
Talk?
Yeah, talk.
This is one of those holistic health things, aren't it?
You might say that.
I've heard about those programs. Martha's into some of those. Always seemed a lot of mumbo-jumbo to me. She's got all kinds of herbal teas in the kitchen cabinet over there.
Well, let's just give it a try, shall we?
If you insist. So Medicare covers this sort of thing nowadays, do they?
Don't you worry about that.
The things the government pays for sometimes these days amazes me. Guess somebody's got a good lobbyist out there. It's all a matter of who you know, I suppose.
It's how a lot of things work.
Nothing new in that, I suppose.
Been that way since the beginning of time.
You got that right. Not that I've been around all that long, mind you.
Oh, I didn't think that.
I mean, just because I'm retired doesn't mean I'm old, you know. At least that's what they told us at the activity center to say.
So, how are you?
Me? Well, I'm all right, I reckon. Like I said, I can tell you what the weather's going to be better than any of them TV weathermen on account of my joints. And sometimes I get a little, indigestion, I guess you could say. You sure you don't want to go ahead and take my blood pressure or something?
I'm sure.
You're kind of making me nervous just sitting there.
Well, let's talk about something you're interested. I see you've got the sports page there.
The business page, actually. See, they put the business on the back of the sports. Guess they figure it's all the men's section, They put food and comics all together in the women's section over there on the coffee table.
You don't have to be a man to follow sports, do you?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. It's just that, the odds of this is something men would like.
So it looks like a big baseball story there, huh? Looks like the little capsule summaries of all the teams for opening day.
Could be. I didn't read it.
No? Why not? Looks pretty interesting to me. Short, quick, all you need to know. Oh, look, they're picking the Mariners to take the division this year.
I got no use for baseball.
Really? Why's that?
No special reason.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that one bit. I think there is a special reason.
Look, are you going to take my blood pressure or what?
Well, I don't know if that's such a good idea now. You seem a little agitated.
I'm not agitated.
Or at least tense. Are you tense, Bud?
I'm not tense either. Now, would you just stop it?
I better take your blood pressure.
Good.
Angie grabs her nurse's bag and rifles through it, withdrawing a blood pressure monitor.
I'm kind of a big baseball fan, you know.
Good for you.
See?
Angie pulls out a baseball cap for the Angels.
You didn't believe me, did you?
Well, I didn't really consider it one way or another.
You know the Mets said in '73, you gotta believe.
Believe what?
Ah, well, that's the question now, isn't it? Me, I've always been kind of partial to the Angels, and the Padres, too. I always thought that was a neat name for a team. Not one of those usual ferocious-sounding names like some sports teams have, you know?
All of those are California teams.
You got something against California?
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to. I'm sensing some issues here.
They're not issues. You make me sound like I'm some kind of nutcase. Now, why don't you just get on with what you gotta do?
Well, I'm trying.
Angie is still fumbling with the blood pressure monitor, wrapping and re-wrapping the pressure cuff.
I think it goes the other way around.
Oh, thanks.
I've had to get checked often enough. I know how it works.
I guess I should too, huh? Sorry, it's so embarrassing. Please don't tell my supervisor, okay?
Okay.
All right, Bud. Why don't you take a deep breath for me?
Okay.
Good. Deep, cleansing breath. Okay. Exhale. And again. This doesn't really have anything to do with the checkup. This is just a good idea now and then, you know? I find it sort of clears the mind as well as the body. So, who's your team, Bud?
My team? I told you. I don't follow baseball. So can we just stop talking about it?
What about the Dodgers, Bud?
What about the Dodgers?
You strike me as a Dodgers fan.
What in the world would make you say a thing like that?
Oh, just a lucky guess.
Well, you're wrong.
Am I?
Yes.
Oh my, I see we have a problem here.
A problem? What kind of problem?
A nerve problem?
I don't have any problems with my nerves.
No? Well, I sure touched one when I asked you about the Dodgers. Well, we can go ahead and take this thing off.
Angie removes the blood pressure cuff, packing it away in her bag.
So, what's the reading?
The reading? Oh, don't worry about that. It's just a bunch of numbers. I couldn't make heads or tails of it anyway.
What kind of nurse are you, anyway?
The only one you're gonna get who's going to deal with what's really ailing you, Bud.
Ailing? What do you mean?
Baseball.
What?
Specifically, the Dodgers. But let's focus on the big picture, shall we?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, Bud.
I don't understand.
Think, Bud. Think. Think back a long way. Think back to when you were a boy in the 1950s.
I'm not going senile. You don't have to patronize me.
So you know what I'm referring to then? A certain promise you made? A certain deal to a certain, individual? Involving a certain baseball team?
But how do you know?
Easy. It's here in your chart.
Let me see that.
If you insist. I don't know what it is these days. People won't take my word on anything anymore. They always want to see it in writing.
I can't read this chicken scratch. It's all Greek to me.
Well, one of those old Mediterranean languages.
Where'd this come from, anyway? I don't ever remember telling anyone.
Oh, you must have told someone, all right.
Well, maybe I told the banker when we had to apply for our first mortgage. He asked what long-term commitments we had, but I just meant it as a joke.
You meant it as a joke to the banker, maybe. You didn't mean it as a joke to God, did you?
Well, no.
And for the past, how many years has it been now, Bud?
56.
And for the past 56, you've held up your end of the bargain. Isn't that right?
Darn straight. But I don't see what that's got to do with anything.
It's got to do with everything, Bud. It's the reason you're so tense. The reason why you have high blood pressure. The reason why... Well, I think the regularity is a different problem. But, the indigestion might have something to do with it, too.
Huh. You don't say.
So, you want to tell me about it?
You seem to know already a lot about it.
Come on. It'll do you good. Get it off your chest.
Well, if you say so.
Bud leans back in his chair and closes his eyes with a sigh.
You need some water or something?
No, that's all right. I'm just thinking back. Those were such different days.
Tell me about it.
It's not like now. Nowadays, players move every which way. Heck, whole teams move, and nobody thinks anything about it. Nobody's got any loyalty to anything anymore. It's all about the almighty dollar. But back then, your team was your team. You know what I mean? And the team you rooted for, well, that said something about who you were.
Sort of like which church you go to.
Exactly. When I was growing up, I rooted for the Dodgers.
The Brooklyn Dodgers.
The Brooklyn Dodgers. They'd always been the hard-luck team. The underdogs. The ones that were close but no cigar. Dem bums, they called them. Dem bums. And that's what one of the newspapers called them. Can you believe that? Can you imagine if some newspaper did that today? Hoo boy, you'd never be able to get away with it nowadays. But back then, that's what they called them. Bums. And you know what their slogan was? Wait till
next year.
Oh, you are a baseball fan, aren't you?
Thanks. I've got a friend who's Jewish, and he's always talking about next year in Jerusalem, so that's how I remember it.
So even their name was special. The only team that wasn't named after a city. Nowadays, they have all kinds of crazy names, after states, or pieces of states, and all sorts of made-up names. I mean, the Minnesota Twins wasn't so bad, because that's kind of like Minneapolis. And there's the whole Minneapolis-St. Paul thing. So I can understand that. But the Texas Rangers, when really it's just Dallas. Well, Dallas and Fort Worth, but that doesn't seem to bother anybody for anything.
The Florida Marlins.
There you go, and the Arizona Diamondbacks.
The Colorado Rockies.
The Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
The California Angels. Well, before they changed it to just the Anaheim Angels. Or the Los Angeles Angels. Or whatever they're calling themselves these days. But that's another story.
So anyway, the point is the Dodgers were special. Even when they lost, they were special.
Like the 62 Mets?
Well, never that bad, but you get the idea. Then in the 40s and the 50s, man, they got hot. They brought in Branch Rickey as general manager, and let me tell you, he was a genius, an absolute genius. Invented the farm system. Introduced the batting helmet, and I don't have to tell you about Jackie Robinson. Suddenly, them bums are winning pennants. 47, 49, 52, 53, back-to-back 55 and 56. All those pennants, though, when they could never beat the Yankees in the series. Never. Then, in 55, they finally did. It took 7 games, but they did it. They beat the Yankees. It all turns on one play. 7th game in Yankee Stadium. This one's for all the marbles. Bottom of the 6th, Dodgers are up by 2. Yankees at bat. The crowd's going wild. Man, I remember that last play as long as I live. Amorous took it just like that. You're never going to see a better example of a glove-handed catch.
You saw all this?
No, I wasn't there. I was listening to it on the radio. But it's just as good as being there, let me tell you that. I can still see it in my head just like it was yesterday.
Wow.
And that's where it all started, too.
Where what started?
The end.
I don't follow.
At the 55 series, see, L.A. wanted a team, so they sent some people to the series to talk to the baseball types about what team they might be able to get. Not many people remember this, but the team they really wanted to get was the Washington Senators.
How about that?
Instead, they wound up talking to Walter O'Malley. He ran the Dodgers then, and he was looking for a new stadium in Brooklyn, but nobody there in the city would help him out. Kept making excuses about no developable land. At least none of the city wanted to part with, that sort of thing. And well, it took a couple years to work itself out, but come 57, soon as the season's over, he pulls up stakes, takes the whole team with him to California. The whole team! You know what one of the newspaper columnists said at the time? He said the 3 most evil men in the 20th century were Hitler, Stalin, and Walter O'Malley. Of course, they're way You're way too young to know anything about them, but let me tell you, that newspaper fellow was right about O'Malley. Imagine moving the team to California.
So what did you do?
What could I do? I was 11 years old. I was heartbroken, devastated.
Sort of like that 7 stages of grief thing. You know, denial, anger, bargaining, depression. Then finally you get to acceptance?
Except I never got no acceptance. Oh, no, I swore I'd never accept it.
You swore?
Oh, I swore all right.
Now we come to it. You mean like a real old-timey swearing? I don't mean just, swear words, but a real I swear allegiance kind of thing?
I went outside and I shook my fist at the heavens and I swore to God that I would never again be a baseball fan until there was a team back in Brooklyn.
Wow, now that's swearing. That's serious business, bud.
Darn straight it's serious. To tell you the truth, I forget now whether it had to be the Dodgers back in Brooklyn or whether another team would do. I just remember the Brooklyn part.
So, the Mets?
Mets don't count. They're in Queens.
Gotcha. Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
So did the team have to have Brooklyn in the name or just play in Brooklyn?
Ah, heck, I don't know. I was just a kid. I didn't get into all the whys and wherefores.
I see. But all this time, you've kept your end of the bargain.
You bet I've kept it. A deal's a deal.
And a deal with God.
That's the most serious of all.
Can't argue with that.
No siree.
So you didn't follow them when the Dodgers won the series in '59?
Of course not. Blasphemy.
What about the '60 World Series where Bill Mazeroski made the classic home run in the bottom of the ninth to win it for the Pirates? First time ever a home run had won the series.
Nope.
Or the '69 series where Tom Seaver and the Amazing Mets went from worst to first?
Not in the least.
Denny McLain 30-game season in '68. Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's home run record in '74. Mark McGwire slugging 70 homers in '98. Barry Bonds hitting 73 in '21.
Nope.
All right, let me try this one on you. The Boston Red Sox winning the series in '04 for the first time in almost a century. You didn't even sneak it, even a peek?
Never even crossed my mind.
You're serious.
Of course I'm serious.
You weren't tempted? I mean, the least bit tempted?
Not at all.
So I'm curious. How did you manage?
Manage what?
Doing without baseball. You know, all those years, going cold turkey after being such a big fan.
Oh, that. Had to.
You had to?
I told you. I made a deal with God.
So no matter how much it hurt to give up.
Oh, now I haven't just given up baseball. I've come to despise it. I actively loathe it. I cheer for its ultimate destruction. You know what my favorite series year was?
What's that?
'94, the strike year. The year that there was no series.
Darn! Oh, oops, I mean, well, you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Just don't, my supervisor and all that.
Ah, don't worry. I don't even know your supervisor.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Martha's always getting on me about my language, but I tell you, you turn on the television nowadays to some of these shows, why, it's practically locker room talk. It's just terrible. Terrible.
So what if God didn't make a deal with you?
I beg your pardon.
You say you made a deal with God. How do you know it was a deal?
What kind of foolishness is that? Of course it's a deal. I walked out in the backyard, I looked up at the sky and shook my fist. What more do you want?
Technically, I think what you did was you made a pledge. Maybe even a vow. A promise, certainly, but a deal is when both sides agree. How do you know he agreed?
Because, well, it doesn't matter. I gave my word. That's what counts. I gave my word.
Well, I can't argue with that.
My word is my bond.
And it hurts, doesn't it?
What hurts?
Well, something must hurt.
My joints hurt when the weather changes.
You know what I mean. You miss it. You miss baseball.
Yeah, you're darn right. But that's not the point. The point is that I kept my word. I'm just like one of those ball players going on strike. I have withheld my services.
And look where it's gotten you.
What do you mean?
Well, let's see. Hypertension, indigestion, maybe even your,
Irregularity?
Right. That problem. And you certainly haven't gotten the Dodgers back in Brooklyn, now have you?
Look, lots of people have high blood pressure and all this spicy food they have nowadays. You know, I was just reading the other day in the paper that salsa has now passed ketchup as the most popular condiment in the country. That's the problem right there.
Salsa?
Well, all this spicy food. Mostly on account of, well, all those Mexicans moving in.
And you eat a lot of Mexican food.
Me? No, not me. Not with my stomach problems.
Then we can scratch that one off our list now, can't we?
Well, wait, I didn't mean it that way.
You know what I think your problem is, Bud?
Yeah, what's that?
There's something you need that you're not getting, Bud.
Oh, go talking to me about those bran muffins. Martha's been on me about that. Those things taste like cardboard. I swear they do. Can't just give me a little pill or something? She's got a calcium deficiency, and she takes a little pill for that.
What you need is baseball, Bud. You need it. Your body, your spirit demands it. That's why you've got such high blood pressure. That's why you've got these other problems. Look at you. It's opening day and you ought to be happy, relaxed, upbeat. Everybody starts even on opening day. All things are possible.
All things except getting a team back in Brooklyn, you mean?
Bud, God is not going to put a team back in Brooklyn.
Seattle got a team. They're a lousy team. What were they called? The Pilots. That's it, the Pilots. The Pilots moved to Milwaukee after just one season, and Seattle's got a new team. And there's nothing special about Seattle. Heck, it rains there all the time. They can't even play ball half the time.
Bud, listen to me. God is not going to put a team back in Brooklyn.
So God listens to the prayer of some kid in Seattle, but he didn't listen to mine. Fine. Be that way. See if I care.
Bud, it doesn't work that way. God is not a sports commissioner. If he were, he might do something about the designated hitter rule. But he's not, okay?
And Washington. Washington's got a team. Washington's got two teams. The Senators moved to Minneapolis, and then Washington got a new team right away. Then when those Senators moved to Texas, well, they had to wait a while.
34 years.
But they still got a team. From Montreal.
And Brooklyn is not. You just need to accept that, Bud.
And why do I need to accept it?
Because it's killing you, Bud.
Pshaw.
It's true. Look at the charts. A lifetime of high blood pressure can't be good for you, Bud. And this anger towards baseball, this unresolved anger...
It's not anger, darn it.
Okay, whatever it is, then.
I'll tell you what it is. It's passion. That's right. That's the right word. It's passion.
Okay, passion. So you're passionate about baseball, just in a negative way.
I guess. You're not trying to trick me with some word game, are you? Because I really don't like those. I started doing the crosswords after I retired, to give me something to do.
Something to do during baseball season?
Will you stop it about baseball already?
No, Bud. You're the one who needs to stop something. You need to stop this silly deal with God business and get back to following baseball. You'll feel a lot better for it, that's for sure. Why, heck, I bet you wouldn't even curse as much.
You think?
Can't hurt. It's probably all stress-related anyway.
I'll be darned.
So, what do you say? You gonna do it?
I can't.
What do you mean you can't? There's the sports section over there, Bud. Just pick it up. Read it.
I mean, it's more complicated than that.
Oh, I got it. You're waiting for a sign, right? Like a third base coach signaling the batter. Some signs from above that it's all okay. How's this?
Angie makes some odd gestures, similar to baseball managers sending in a play.
Okay, you're released from the bunt, Bud. No sacrifice fly either. Swing for the fences.
What are you doing?
Signs, Bud. I'm sending you a sign.
I swear, you are the strangest nurse I've ever had.
I'm trying to help you, Bud.
Look, I appreciate that. I really do. You've really gone above and beyond the call of duty here today, Angie, but I really don't see this as a medical problem. It's just the way I am, okay? I've gotten by for 56 years like this, and well, I guess I don't expect to get by for 56 more, but you know what they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You're afraid, aren't you?
Afraid? Afraid of what?
Becoming a fan again.
What would make you say a thing like that?
Because it's true, maybe. Is it?
I'd have a lot of explaining to do.
If they're really friends, they'll understand.
I don't like people to laugh at me. Kids laughed at me in school because I was too slow to play very well. I don't like people laughing at me.
Trust me, nobody's gonna laugh at you.
I might laugh at myself.
Well, I can't do anything about that. But you might need a good laugh now and then, Bud. So go ahead.
I'd have a lot of catching up to do.
A lot has changed since 57.
It'd be almost like starting over, learning everything from scratch. It'd be like walking into a movie when it's 3/4 done and trying to understand everything that's going on.
You mean like the infield fly rule? Or the smaller strike zone?
The players, the managers, heck, the teams. They got all these new teams now.
Well, you know what they say, Bud.
What's that?
You can't tell the players without a program.
What's that supposed to mean?
It just means... Oh, never mind. Well, gosh, look at the time. I need a scoot. Well, I think we've done some good work today here, Bud. What do you think?
Work? We just talked.
Now, you keep taking your blood pressure medicine.
Yes, ma'am.
And you need to eat right. In fact, you need to eat more than right.
Not the bran muffins.
Yes, the bran muffins. They're good for you. Eat them.
Ah, darn.
And don't forget exercise. Regular exercise is important.
Well, Martha and I try to get out on a walk every day.
Walking's good. Anything that keeps you active is good.
Okay.
Well, I think that's it for today.
So you'll be back sometime? Is this like a regular thing?
Let's just say I'll be around, okay?
Okay.
You take care now.
All right, will do.
Bye.
Bye.
Angie exits, and Bud makes an effort to straighten things up before sitting back down. Reaching for the newspaper, he begins reading again. Then he looks up, checking his watch, and the paper again.
What the? Well, I'll be darned. The Dodgers and the Mets at 1:20. Oh, this is gonna be a good one.
The end.
Thanks, everybody. That was a production of Brooklyn, The Angel of Brooklyn by Dwayne Yancey. The part of Bud was played by Walter Lutsch. The part of the narrator was played by Dave Matsui. And the part of Angie was played by Caitlin Bancroft.
We've got one last play for the night for you guys. So this one is Looks Get in the Way by D.M. Larson.
This evening at Tona's, there is an unusually dressed guest at one of the tables. At a table for two, a woman named Sydney sits across from an empty chair. Sydney's attire is not unusual in any way, except that tonight she is wearing an old lady mask. Soon a man named Tony struts through the door. He's wearing a tight red shirt with an open V-neck and black leather pants. He glances around at the tables before approaching Sydney. As he gets closer, he stops and glances down his nose at her. I think I have the wrong table.
Who you looking for, honey?
Sydney?
That's me.
What?
I'm Sydney.
Is this a joke?
Are you Tony? You're late. I thought you'd be here at 5.
I gotta go. I just wanted to tell you that Tony can't make it. Tony hurries out, almost running into the waiter as he keeps turning back to look at Sydney. He apologizes to the waiter and then rushes out the door.
See you later, loser.
A waiter brings Sydney an appetizer. She sticks it through the mouth hole in her mask, chewing quietly and nodding her head. A few moments later, a man named Phil enters dressed in a suit, a bit too small for him. He's wearing dark-rimmed glasses and has some decaying flowers in his hand. The waitress smiles at him. Phil looks nervously to the sides of the room as she shows him to Sydney's table. Phil is so nervous he doesn't even look at Sydney as he sits. He lifts the flowers over his face like a shield.
Hey there, Sydney. I'm early. I'm Phil, and I'm early. I'm glad you're early, too. Well, sort of. I was hoping to beat you and get used to the room first. I get so nervous in new places. And with new people. I get nervous a lot. I brought you flowers.
Clumsily, Phil sticks the flowers in the middle of the table till it blocks Sydney from view, and himself as well. Sydney tries to glance around them to get a good look at Phil.
The flowers are a little wilted. They were pretty. There's this wonderful flower shop, but I didn't have time to go there today. But I did do a few days ago, and I wanted those flowers. I don't get it every day, you know, and I just wanted this to be special. So I got the best flowers I know of, but I want this to be great. You know what I mean?
Sydney grabs the flowers and smells them.
They're lovely.
Surprised by the voice, Phil looks up to see Sydney's old lady mask for the first time. His jaw drops. He stares a moment. He takes off his glasses and cleans them with his button-up. He puts them on and looks again. Sydney puts the flowers to the side of the table and looks at Phil happily. A few moments of silence pass.
What's with the mask?
Does it scare you?
Not really. It's just weird.
So you're not gonna run off on me?
I have to admit I'm a little curious. Why would you wear an old person mask to dinner and do the weird voice?
It's my way of weeding out the losers. I want to find a man who likes what I'm really like and doesn't let my looks get in the way.
Tell me about it.
You're not ugly.
I'm not?
Take off your glasses again. You have very nice eyes.
Really? You do too.
Stop that.
What?
No physical stuff now.
But you said my eyes and your eyes are, well, pretty?
No.
But
Shush!
can I?
No.
Okay.
Sydney crosses her arms as she glares through her mask at Phil. Phil himself looks around everywhere but at Sydney. A few more moments pass.
Those, flowers are very nice.
I like red. Do you like red?
I'm not too much into colors.
Why is that?
They're so loaded. Red is passion, blue is sadness, green is envy.
It's good to feel something.
Huh?
At least those colors feel something. Black and white is so boring. No feeling at all.
Sydney nods approvingly and then holds out her appetizer.
Hungry?
Phil takes something from the appetizer tray and eats it. Is this battered green beans?
Uh-huh.
This is my absolute favorite.
No way.
Nobody else likes these.
I do.
These are so good in the honey poppy seed sauce.
Sydney picks up the little cup and holds out some sauce to Phil.
Oh no, you didn't.
He happily dips in the sauce.
What are the odds we like the same things? So, what else happens on these dates? I mean, you seem to have had it all planned out with the mask and such. It's like a test or something. There was this one episode of Star Trek.
I like Star Trek.
Really?
Live long and prosper.
Just then, the waitress comes by.
Earl Grey tea. Hot.
The waitress rolls her eyes and exits. Sydney is laughing.
So this is one of those Trekkie tests of the true nature of a species? What is the next trial?
Dinner?
I shall take this challenge.
Phil reaches over and picks up his menu. He notices Sydney isn't looking at hers.
Already know what you want?
Mm-hmm.
What are you having?
It's a secret.
I'll take this challenge.
What?
I will take your challenge. Waitress,
I'll have my usual.
I will have the unusual usual.
You don't even know what it is.
I am brave. I'll try anything once.
It's very unusual.
I didn't see anything too unusual on the menu.
My usual isn't on the menu.
Oh.
Don't worry. It hasn't killed anyone yet. It is, however, responsible for my lovely appearance.
I really don't want to look like that.
Oh, you bad man. You hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I was joking. Relax.
Maybe I should wear a mask on dates too. I get so nervous.
You're doing well.
It's the mask. It's helping me too for some reason. It's so ridiculous. I guess it lightens the mood.
Ridiculous. Oh my, I'm ridiculous.
No, you're very normal. The rest of us are weird.
Darn tootin'.
Just then, the waitress appears. She places a plate before each of them. On it sits a hot dog.
A hot dog?
A hot dog.
That is unusual for a nice restaurant like this.
And it is unusual. Who knows what's in the meat?
I actually love hot dogs.
Really?
Yep.
Phil devours it while Sydney watches in approval.
Wanna see me without my mask?
I don't know. Maybe? I guess? This is a test too, isn't it? Oh, man.
Don't be nervous. I'm not this scary looking for real.
Okay.
I'm kind of ugly, but nothing like this.
Ugly?
Don't worry, I don't have a huge nose or weird teeth or a huge mole on my face. I'm just not very good looking.
I don't mind. I'm no William Shatner.
You sure?
I'm sure I'm not William Shatner.
You sure about the mask?
I'm sure. I already know you have beautiful eyes.
Stop that.
I still can't compliment you?
No.
You don't have to take off the mask. It's okay.
I want to. You're really nice. You deserve to see my real face. You've passed the test.
Phil waits nervously as Sydney removes the mask. Sydney looks shy, and Phil looks happy.
You're beautiful.
No.
You are. Really.
Stop.
You don't have any reason to hide.
Sydney makes eye contact and returns his smile. They smile at each other happily a moment.
Want another hot dog?
Sure.
The end.
That was Looks Get in the Way by D.M. Larson. The part of Phil was played by David Matsui. The part of narrator and Tony was played by Walter Lutsch. And the part of Sydney was played by Caitlin Bancroft, sorry.
It's fine.
Anyways, guys, that's it for tonight. That's all we've got. Thank you again for listening in. Just a reminder, next Thursday, 7 o'clock, we're on again. Quick thank you to Kat. If anybody heard her music at the intro, Bells, that was hers. Thank you also to Liz and Nick for helping us out with some technical issues. And thank you to Caitlin for being on the show. It's been an awesome
Yes.
time having you.
And again, everyone, just keep in mind, if you've got any scripts, if you're a writer and you want to give it a shot, go ahead and shoot us an email at falconradiotheater@gmail.com. And if you're just looking to follow us on Facebook and see what we're doing, we're there too, facebook.com/falconradiotheater.
All right. Good night, guys.
Night.
Bye-bye.